There is a moment the ancient Gnostic masters described with something close to reverence, not the moment of awakening, the moment just before it. The moment when the seeker stands at the very edge of Gnosis, and the Demiurge makes his final move. Not through darkness, not through suffering, not through the familiar weapons of confusion and forgetfulness. His final move is something far more dangerous. He offers you the door. He shows you the light beyond the veil. He lets you feel, genuinely feel with every cell of your being, that you have arrived. And in that feeling, in that exquisite certainty that you have finally seen through the illusion, the last and most perfect trap closes around you. Not with chains, with conviction. Because conviction is the one material the Demiurge can produce that is genuinely indistinguishable from its source. The conviction that you are free, the conviction that you have awakened, the conviction that the journey is complete and that what you are experiencing now is the real thing. That conviction is his masterpiece, and it is aimed at exactly the soul that has worked hard enough to reach the threshold of genuine gnosis. This is the deception the church never wanted you to understand. Because the church could suppress a text, it could burn a gospel, it could imprison a mystic and scatter a community, but it could never suppress what the Demiurge himself built into the architecture of your awakening. Because the final illusion is not something any human institution created, it is something the false creator wove into the fabric of this world. It exists before organized religion. It will exist after organized religion. And if you do not know what it looks like, you will walk directly into it. In this video, we are going to go somewhere the surface-level Gnostic channels never take you, past the entry point of Demiurge theology, into the specific, precise, and terrifyingly subtle mechanism the Gnostic masters called the anti-maimon pneuma, the counterfeit spirit. You will understand exactly how it works. You will be able to recognize it when it rises in your own experience. You will know, for the first time, what the final threshold of genuine gnosis actually looks like. Not what it feels like, what it actually is. Because those two things, the feeling and the reality, are precisely what the Demiurge has been weaponizing against seekers for 2,000 years. To understand the final deception, you need to understand what the Demiurge actually is, not in the simplified version, but in the version preserved in the Apocryphon of John. The Demiurge, called Yaldabaoth in the Sethian tradition, Saklas in others, Samael in still others, is not a metaphor for human ego. He is a specific cosmological entity, a being born of divine ignorance, possessing the stolen light of the pleroma. The Apocryphon of John states his nature with surgical precision. Yaldabaoth looks at his creation and declares, "I am God and there is no other beside me." And a voice descends from the pleroma with a single correction. "You are mistaken, Samael," which in Aramaic means blind God. That blindness is not metaphor. It is the operational reality of the Demiurge's existence. He cannot see what he does not understand. He cannot comprehend the genuine light because he has only ever possessed a reflection of it. And everything he builds from reflection. Every layer of his creation is a copy of a copy of a copy, with the original light growing fainter at every remove. This is the architecture of the world you live in. Not evil in the moral sense. The Gnostics were careful about this. Not maliciously constructed to harm you. Simply counterfeit. A cosmos built entirely from reflected light, populated by souls who carry genuine pleroma sparks and have been systematically prevented from knowing it. And here is where the final trap begins to take shape. Because when a soul reaches the edge of awakening, the Demiurge cannot extinguish that remembrance. The genuine pleroma light cannot be destroyed by anything in the Archon domain, but he has one remaining tool. He can offer you a reflection of it. He can produce from the stolen radiance of his own construction an experience that feels like pleroma light from the inside. This is the counterfeit light. The Gnostic texts use a specific term for this phenomenon, the anti-maimon pneuma, the counterfeit spirit, and it is not something that attacks from the outside. It does not present itself as the enemy. The counterfeit spirit rises from within the awakening experience itself. It is the Demiurge's ability to imitate. Understanding how it operates is the difference between a path that takes you home and one that keeps you cycling through increasingly convincing versions of the same illusion. Here is exactly how it works in your inner life. You have been seeking, sincerely, persistently, for months or years. You have read the texts, sat in the stillness, felt the familiar Archon mechanisms begin to loosen their grip on your consciousness. You have felt the familiar Archon mechanisms of desire and distraction begin to loosen their grip on your consciousness. And then one day, and this day does come to every genuine seeker, you feel something shift. Not dramatically, quietly, profoundly. The veil thins. The ordinary world becomes, for a moment, translucent. You feel the presence of something vast and silent beneath the surface. And then the thought arrives. I see it now. I understand what this is. I have awakened. That thought, that precise thought, that is the Demiurge's final move. Not because the experience was false, the experience was genuine. You are touching the threshold of Gnosis with a real part of what you are. But the moment the ego stepped forward to claim the experience, the moment the self that has been doing the seeking said, I have arrived, the Demiurge slipped the counterfeit spirit into the space between experience and interpretation. And what you are now experiencing is no longer the threshold of the pleroma. It is the Demiurge's highest and most radiant Archon heaven. A realm so luminous, so filled with the sensation of divine presence, so perfectly calibrated to give the seeking soul exactly what it has been seeking, that almost every seeker who reaches it never questions whether they have arrived or simply ascended to the most beautiful cage ever constructed. The Valentinian Gnostic tradition, one of the most sophisticated intellectual developments in the entire history of early Christianity, founded by the Master Valentinus in Rome in the 2nd century CE, and carrying forward the deepest insights of the pleroma cosmology, offered the most detailed map of precisely how the counterfeit spirit operates within the layered structure of the human being. And carrying forward the deepest insights of the pleroma cosmology, offered the most detailed map of precisely how the counterfeit spirit operates within the layered structure of the human being. Valentinus taught that the human being is a composite of 3 fundamental elements: the heliconic, the material dimension, the physical body and its drives, entirely the Demiurge's domain; the psychic, the soul layer, the realm of emotion, spiritual sensation, religious experience, and the kind of mystical states that can genuinely be cultivated and genuinely be confused with Gnosis; and the pneumatic, the divine spark itself, the fragment of genuine pleroma light that the Demiurge did not create, cannot control, and cannot fully perceive. The psychic is where the counterfeit spirit lives, and this is the subtlety that most modern treatments of Gnosticism completely fail to communicate. The experiences that arise in the psychic layer of your consciousness, the states of expanded awareness, the feelings of oceanic unity, the sensations of divine love and luminous peace, the moments of profound spiritual clarity that seem to dissolve the ordinary boundaries of selfhood, those experiences are genuinely happening. They are not fabrications. They are real events in a real dimension of your inner life. But they are not Gnosis. And the soul that mistakes them for Gnosis has fallen into the most exquisite trap the Demiurge has available. Gnosis is not a feeling. This is perhaps the single most important and most consistently misunderstood teaching in the entire Gnostic tradition. Gnosis is not an experience. It is not a state. It cannot be cultivated, sustained, lost, or regained in the way spiritual experiences can be. Gnosis is recognition. Direct, unmediated, irreversible recognition of what you actually are beneath every layer of what you experience yourself to be. It is not something that happens in the psychic layer. It happens when the pneumatic spark recognizes itself. And that recognition is more like the cessation of searching than the arrival of something new. The counterfeit spirit works by flooding the psychic layer with experiences of such intensity and beauty that the seeker stops seeking. Why would you keep moving through the dark when you have found this light? Why would you continue questioning when the questioning itself has become unnecessary? When the answer seems to be glowing in every direction around you? This is what the Valentinian tradition called the padded cell. Not dark, not threatening. Warm, radiant, deeply and completely convincing, and sealed. The seeker who stops here has not failed at awakening. The seeker has been caught by the most sophisticated feature of the Demiurge's design, the trap that targets specifically the advanced. There is a practical test the Gnostic masters gave for distinguishing genuine Gnosis from the counterfeit light. It appears in different forms across multiple texts and communities, but its underlying logic is consistent across all of them. And you can apply it right now to every spiritual experience you have ever had, including the ones you consider most sacred and most definitive in your path. The test is this. After this experience, did you need less or did you need more? Genuine Gnosis contracts the hunger. It does not feed it. When a fragment of real pleroma light touches the pneumatic spark within you, what arises is not desire for more of the experience. What arises is a quiet that has no opposite, a knowing that has no interest in confirming itself, a recognition so complete that it does not need to be recognized by anyone, including the self that is doing the recognizing. The craving structure does not intensify after genuine Gnosis. It dissolves. Because the craving structure was built on lack, and Gnosis is the recognition that there is no lack. The counterfeit light does the opposite. Every encounter with it intensifies the desire for the next one. Every peak generates a valley that must be climbed out of again. Every arrival reveals that there is further to go. Another level, another transmission, another initiation, another cosmic secret that will finally complete the journey. Notice that structure. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound like any spiritual path you know, including your own? This is not an accusation. It is an invitation to apply to your own experience the same ruthless honesty the Gnostic masters applied to theirs, because the Gnostic tradition is not a comfortable path. It is a path that requires you to be willing to question everything, including the very experiences that have convinced you that you are finally asking the right questions. The Pistis Sophia, one of the longest and most detailed Gnostic texts to survive into the modern era, contains a sequence that makes this point with a specificity that no careful reader can miss. Sophia herself, the divine feminine wisdom whose yearning set the entire cosmic drama in motion, is caught in exactly the trap we have been describing. She rises toward the light. She reaches a realm of extraordinary beauty and divine presence. She believes with everything she is that she has finally returned to the pleroma, and she discovers that what she reached was still within the Demiurge's domain, a reflection, not the source. And in that discovery, in that shattering recognition that her most exalted spiritual achievement was still counterfeit, she does not collapse into despair. She begins, for the first time, to truly ascend. Because the recognition that the beautiful thing you had was not the real thing is the first movement of genuine Gnosis. Sophia's 13 laments in the Pistis, Sophia, are not the story of a failure. They are the story of a seeker becoming honest enough to mourn what she has to leave behind. You are being invited into Sophia's lament right now, not as tragedy, as the necessary threshold of the real. If you want to go deeper into this teaching, into the specific practices the Gnostic communities developed for navigating the counterfeit light, I have created a free guide called the Gnostic Discernment. The link is in the description below. Take it with you into your contemplation. These are not abstract concepts to think about, they are tools to use. Now the question you have been holding: if the counterfeit light is indistinguishable from genuine Gnosis by feeling, by sensation, how do you navigate it? How do you move through the final deception without dismissing every genuine experience as false or accepting every experience as real? The Gnostic answer is not what most people expect. It is not more discernment in the analytical sense. It is not sharper intellectual framework or more sophisticated theology. The masters consistently pointed to something far more demanding. You navigate the final deception by being willing to lose everything you have found. Every spiritual identity, every peak experience, every framework that has organized your inner life, every teacher and tradition and text, including this one, that has given you a sense of location within the territory of awakening. All of it must be held lightly enough to be released in any given moment. Not permanently, not in the sense of abandoning genuine wisdom, but in the sense of being able at any moment to set it all down and rest in what remains when the seeker is no longer seeking, when the knower is no longer knowing, when the one who is trying to awaken has temporarily released the effort of awakening. In that space, something exists that cannot be counterfeited. Because the counterfeit spirit has no material to work with, it needs a seeker to seduce. It needs a self that wants to arrive. When the wanting dissolves temporarily, the counterfeit light has no hook. The Apocryphon of John describes this as the quality of the invisible spirit itself, the monad, the source from which all emanation flows and to which all genuine light returns. It is described in the text as having no form, no image, no opposite, no reflection. It does not experience. It does not seek. It does not know in the way that a knower knows an object. It simply is, completely, without remainder. And that simplicity, that radical, unconditional, utterly unconditioned isness, is what the pneumatic spark within you participates in when the seeking has temporarily ceased. That is what you are underneath the seeker. That is what was never lost, never trapped, never deceived. And that is what the final deception is designed to prevent you from simply being, because simply being, for even a moment, is the dissolution of every system the Demiurge built to keep you seeking within his domain. The ancient communities who preserved these teachings understood precisely what they were doing when they sealed them in clay jars and buried them in the cliffs of Nag Hammadi in the 4th century. They were not hiding them from the uninitiated. They were protecting them from institutional reinterpretation, because a teaching about the final deception cannot survive contact with any institution whose authority depends on offering liberation as a product. The most dangerous moment of a genuine seeker's journey is not the beginning, when ignorance is complete and the Archon systems are all fully operational. The most dangerous moment is just before the end, when the seeker is skilled enough, sincere enough, persistent enough to have nearly broken through, because that is when the Demiurge deploys his most refined technology. Not the crude tools of desire and distraction that work on the spiritually unmotivated. The refined technology of radiant false arrival, calibrated specifically to the frequency of the seeker who has earned the right to be caught at the highest level. The counterfeit is perfect. It has one flaw. It cannot replicate the quality of genuine recognition, because genuine recognition does not feel like anything. It does not arrive with sensation. It does not announce itself with radiance. It does not make you feel advanced or chosen or spiritually exceptional. It simply removes the one who needed to feel those things. And when that removal happens, when the seeker dissolves into the seeing, what remains is not an experience of light. It is the awareness that was always doing the seeing, and that has never, in any moment of your existence, been anything other than what it always was. That is the Gnosis the Demiurge cannot touch. That is what the final deception is protecting, and that is exactly why you were meant to find it. The fact that this transmission reached you is not coincidence. The pneumatic spark recognizes the direction of its own home across every medium through which genuine teaching has ever moved. Share in the comments what this opened in you, and subscribe to the Gnostic Archive, where we go past the surface every single week, into the territory the masters sealed in clay, knowing that the souls ready to find it would find it. You found this. That means something real. The Valentinian school preserved one more layer of this teaching that is worth transmitting with precision. It concerns the quality of consciousness that genuine Gnosis produces, not as an event, but as a permanent change in how the soul inhabits ordinary experience. The masters called this quality nepsis. It is usually translated as sobriety, but that translation loses the specific meaning. Nepsis is not the absence of spiritual experience. It is the presence of a clarity so stable that it cannot be destabilized by any particular experience. The soul in nepsis experiences bliss without grasping it, experiences suffering without being destroyed by it, experiences profound spiritual states without calling them enlightenment. This is the quality that makes the final trap visible for what it is. The counterfeit light targets the soul that needs the experience to confirm its awakening. The soul in nepsis does not need confirmation. It has recognized that what it was always seeking was never absent. And that recognition produces the quiet that dissolves the hunger structure entirely. The Gospel of Truth, attributed directly to Valentinus himself, describes the pre-Gnosis human condition as a state of nightmare with a precision that every sincere seeker will recognize. It describes the soul running through dreams toward destinations that keep receding, finding what it sought and discovering that finding did not end the searching. Waking within the dream to a dream version of insight and waking again to find it was still dreaming. The counterfeit light is the most vivid, most convincing, most exquisitely crafted dream within the dream. And Gnosis is not another dream. It is the recognition that you were dreaming, not because something new was added to your consciousness, but because the one accumulation blocking simple seeing was finally, quietly released. That release cannot be produced by effort. What practice does, what genuine contemplative practice always does, is remove the obstacles to it. And the recognition of the counterfeit light for what it is, without fighting it and without being absorbed by it, is itself one of those removals, one of the final ones. You have arrived at this teaching because something in you was ready for it. The pneumatic spark recognizes the direction of its own remembrance across every medium through which genuine teaching has ever moved. What you do now determines whether this was information or initiation. The masters buried their texts because they knew that the right soul in the right moment would find them and recognize them as mirrors rather than documents. Look at what you are seeing in this mirror. It is not a description of someone else's awakening. It is a precise account of the final stage of yours.